And we're a go. We're a go. Can someone say something? Confirm
Hello.
that I can hear people.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Kyle, you muted Hallie.
I did, and she
It's
did not
her
unmute
fault
herself.
This time.
I will unmute. No, we pressed the button at the same time. I unmuted her at the same time she muted.
I asked you if I should unmute myself.
Well, I couldn't hear you because you were muted.
That's why we have the chat. Why are you muted again?
Why are you muted again?
I don't know, because it told me I was muted, so I pressed unmute, but it tricked me, and then I just muted myself.
Oh wow!
Again.
Someone point out, with all the time and effort that I spent, Hallie and Emily
know.
are still switched around. All right, give me let me just take a hot sec and fix this.
That's fine.
I mean, some people confuse their voices, right? So
It's true.
True. We have similar voices.
But
It does not matter
for-
which one of us is where for this podcast.
For context, when we begin, yeah, every recording, every single one, or at least half of them, I'll start, because the way we set it up, we we do this thing where I will I'll ask everyone, are you recording? Because we have this like baseline Zoom recording we do, and then I line up everybody saying I am recording with like the file that has everybody in it for timing wise. And half of the time I'll be like, Hallie, are you recording? Silence. Hallie, are you recording? I said yes.
Because I did. You just didn't hear me because I was muted.
But
it's always on my recording, me going yes, and then me getting mad the second time.
The best part about this is that in the, like, coming up to this, everyone needs to be muted, because otherwise you would hear them alongside the song. And at one point, I could tell Hallie was gearing up to say something, and I had to quickly rush up and press mute on her Zoom, because you were muted.
I have never done the thing you wanted me to do when you asked me to do it. Not once.
Okay. Well, hello. Welcome to our 3-year anniversary. Because 3 years ago, we released an episode with very little editing, bad audio, a microphone that was turned around because I didn't know you could do that.
I recorded my audio in a video file. That was how bad it was.
I've considered multiple times going back to like fix that audio, and then I remember that Tom's was in a video file, and I get mad and give up on principle. Kent, it feels like just last year it was the 2-year anniversary. Junipow, that's how time works, Kent. The older you get, the more relatively short a year is, and the faster you move to your inevitable demise. Welcome to Quest, friends. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a Q&A. We've got a bunch of questions that we're going to go over. I'm going to try to take a look at the chat while we go, because I don't... Does anyone else have the stream up?
I do.
No, but I can.
I'm watching the chat.
All right, so Tom's watching the chat. Anyone else can, but... The most part is I'm going to be going through questions that people have asked, presenting it to the team, and then afterwards, if anyone has anything in the chat that is a question, I will try to take a look at it, but again, I'm going to have some difficulty just keeping up sometimes, which is the first time it's happened. Also, hello, the Greater Vespari. That's a username. I think the Greater Vespari... and potentially 05 Taylor are two usernames that I have not recognized before. I saw the Greater Vespari when we were coming in. I saw that someone had followed under that name, and I got very mad. In a good way. I like it, but I got mad. Anyways.
I'm so pleased my memes have already infected this stream.
Praise Malia.
Oh, praise Malia!
Okay, so what we're going to do is I've got a series of questions up here. We've got... 35, so we might not make it through them all. They fall into 8 categories. There are 6 that are, I think, good for the beginning of the stream. There is a 7th, which really focuses on Campaign 2, so I want to do that last. And then there's 8, which I call the late questions. These are the questions that appeared after 7:15 today. And I did not put in the system because I was playing Mario, because it's a good game. So... what I'm going to do... Which category do we vote on in the beauty portion? I don't know, but I'm going to put Dimitri in my place as the beauty pageant for me. So what we're going to do is, for those first 6 categories, each of us has a D6. I'm going to, in order from what you can see on the stream, everyone's going to roll a D6, and then I'm going to ask a question from that category. And then what we'll do is if we run out of questions in a category and someone rolls a dice, then we'll pull from that 7:15 or later pool. 7:15 p.m. It was
before the stream.
It was right before the stream. Like we were getting ready. And yeah. By the way, I don't know if this will happen before, but I don't know if this will happen, but if our video starts buffering a bit, which it happened during the Sonic streams, it got real bad. I'm sorry for that. Just listen to it in a podcast format. Something you all should be familiar with. That being said, if audio cuts out, or if everyone compared to me is a very different volume, we can't really do between everyone else, but we can do everyone versus me. Please say something, because then we can adjust that. Okay.
It was Mario 64 specifically.
Wait, there was a cutoff time listed? There was not a cutoff time listed for questions. I've got everything.
No, that was a question. Was there a cutoff time listed?
Was there? Oh, well, was there? Oh, I get it. Was there a cutoff time listed? There wasn't. I'm actually really happy we got those questions last. I just wasn't able to organize them. Okay. Emily and Hallie being swapped. Oh, no. I swapped you, but I didn't press the transition thing. So Emily and Hallie have been swapped this whole time. Which won't make sense. Okay.
I have no problem being
I'm
mistaken
going to quickly
for
check
Emily.
and see if there aren't
I have
any
no
other
problem being
questions.
mistaken for Hallie.
Good.
But people will think I have my life more together than I do.
Okay, so
That's, no one will make that mistake.
okay.
Trust me on that one.
So I'm not going to have us introduce ourselves unless we want to, because we're here. You know who we are. We've got our names and characters below. Do we want to just jump into the questions? I've done so much preamble.
Let's do
do
it.
Okay,
it.
we're
Let's
going to
jump.
start in the order from top left to bottom right. Ari is first. So Ari, I need you to roll me a D6.
Okay. I got a 1.
You got a 1. Okay, so 1 means we're going to start with thoughts on characters. And by that, we're going to get right into, like, the thick of it with a big, deep, complicated question. What's your favorite ship?
Oh,
And by ship, I mean romantic ship. So this question comes from Taylor. Taylor suggested a variety of ship names. I believe there was, like, I don't have them on hand. But there were like names for like Shock and Misha, Everett and Jesse, Ellie and Ray, and I think the final one was Ellie and Ray, and I forget the final one. But the point is, we have a lot more ships than those 4. We have a lot of ships. So I've just opened up that question to the field entirely. What's your favorite ship? For someone who doesn't know, and that I'm talking to you, Dad. A ship is basically a romantic pairing. So what couple do you like the most?
I mean, I can be selfish and say that I like my character's couple the most, with Shock and Misha.
Oh, with Shock
Can
and
we go
Misha.
in-
I mean, that's a good one. Like
Do you want me to say another one?
No, I think that's good. Sorry,
I was distracted by the-
I was fidgeting with volume and checking chat.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, was my answer not?
No, I got distracted doing moderator duties in the chat when a word was there, and I just didn't know what it was. So I just stared at it like, what is this?
But anyways, so no, I think that's a good one. I think it's a testament
Yes,
to the ship that no other ship has popped up for those characters. Like, we have had a context in which Shock has had another boy his age in his brain for a long time. Speaking
Not
of, before
his
we continue,
age.
spoilers wise, we're cutting it off like at the Ezra reveal. So anything from when Ezra was revealed onwards, we might talk about specific scenes, but we won't talk about big plot points. That being said, we can talk about how in any other context there'd be so much shipping between Shock and Lowell. Like, that's just a snarky boy living in another teenage boy's brain is just ship fodder, and not a single person has thought of it. And I think that just speaks to the testament of the Shock and Misha ship.
Misha saved Shock's shipping life. That's what they did. That's a fact.
From the
rock
chat,
fact.
haha, chuckles and multi-shipping. Okay, I have a feeling this is going to continue for everyone. Tom, is your favorite ship also Shock and Misha?
No, actually, I was going to say, I'm actually torn between Raylo, which is now my name for Ray, and Ellie, for no reason.
That's not allowed
Supposed
to
to
be
be,
their name.
You
Really? Rayleigh.
Yeah. There's no O in any of their.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
not
being
allowed.
intentionally the
I
worst.
hate you.
But
Okay.
the other option was Triceratops, which I know CK had just posted in chats a little while back. I'm really fond of those ships.
when there was a moment where we weren't sure. That's right, Relly is what the rest of us use because we're not terrible. Triceratops, there was a period where we weren't sure if we wanted to continue with the ship between Hop and Sarah, and Hallie was like, but Triceratops! And
That
then-
was my chief reasoning. And then you wanted to change her name at some point too. And I was like, but what if we didn't? Because I have a ship name for them already.
I ship
It was like
Ness
Tri-
and Mischief and Hop
Sarah
and
Hop.
Happiness.
Oh, thank you. I do ship Hop and
Happiness.
Happiness. That's why I
That's the
ship
name of
Hop
the-
and Sarah.
What is your
Happiness is the
favorite
name
ship,
of the ship.
Hallie?
I mean, selfishly, it's probably Triceratops. I put a lot of work into that name. I put a lot of worry into that ship. But Zosha is so pure and was also so accidental. Nobody planned on that. It just like
Not even slightly.
organically happened. And I think that's super cool because all the other ones were planned to some degree because they're with NPCs or they're of NPCs. But I also really like Jesseret, which is what I call Jesse and Everett.
We're having some good ship names in the chat. I'm not going to keep interrupting
yeah.
people, but we got some good ship names in the chat. Anyway,
I'm looking at them. I'm very pleased with them. I would say those are my top ships, but I also really like Ray and Ellie. I don't want to cheat and say I have a lot of favorite ships, but I have a lot of favorite ships, and they're all valid. So there.
what about Stopper?
Well, that one's not a valid ship. That's not like it's not even valid. It's literally not valid because it's not valid. It didn't happen.
Stopper being Lorraine Stiles and Hopper, which was a ship I realized we pushed a bit too much when people got into it, and I was really afraid that when it was like, no, this is an abusive relationship, some people would be like, but we still like it though. But then Sarah came into the picture and everything was okay. Anyways,
Everything is okay.
Emily, I'm going to leave it with you because Ellie has 2 ships. And I want to know here definitively.
This is not. I was not gonna pick either of Ellie's ships because I am not picking between those 2.
Okay.
I do really love all of Hopper's crack ships.
So for context, there was a period of time in the early days of the fan Discord where Hopper got shipped with everyone. My favorite, well, it's tied. There's between the character of Joe, who's the shape-shifting guy who turns into Sexy Hop. That was a ship. But my favorite, and there's a fan fiction out there written by someone in this chat where it was Hop and Don. And it was talking about how Hop was admiring Don, like as he single-handedly carried out unconscious Vera from the heart of Charmande. Just said he noticed something very important. Dem tasty muscles. And it's by far my favorite ship. That's my
I'm also
answer.
fond of the
We
the dog
have
ship.
quoted that since that fan fiction
Yeah.
came out.
I once put in a Patreon sign because I just needed to. We're getting just long no's in the chat. Cringe culture is dead, baby. All right,
I ship My ultimate ship is. Wait, can I pick it if it's not technically canon?
You can pick whatever
Ships
you
don't
want.
have to be
Listen,
canon.
shipping is all about avoiding canon.
That's true.
I ship Zoe and Megan in a queer platonic relationship.
Who says that ain't canon, baby? We all know that's canon.
Okay,
Like,
good.
we know it's not
because
explicitly
that's-
canon, but like probably, maybe not. I don't know.
Like, it's just they're buddies.
They're good pals.
It's important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Homestuck has already emerged in chat.
Surprised it
Okay,
took this
Emily,
long,
roll
honestly.
a dice. Roll a dice. We're moving on.
Roll a
from
dice.
this.
I'm rolling a dice. This is the original dice that I used for Ellie. 5.
5. Category 5. This is Miscellaneous. And this one actually is going to be for Emily. So this question is for Emily. Let me shift it here. This one is from a listener, from audience member Taylor. The question is, for Emily, how did you learn to draw so well?
I grew up doing art constantly. I ended up going to school. I changed my major a lot of times, but in college, I ended up creating my own major in children's literature, more focused on the illustration side. Didn't listen to anything my professors told me about good art, and drew a lot in my spare time.
All the time. All the time.
All the time. I've been working on these really detailed pieces, and I'll just stay up for hours at night sometimes. Not lately. I've been trying to sleep better.
Sleep is an important, as Persona 5 has taught all of us, having a healthy and consistent night's sleep is important for achieving
All right,
any
time
of
to
your
pivot
goals.
to a Persona 5 stream. Because we've all played it now,
We've
except for
tricked
Emily,
all
but
of
she
you.
had to watch it 3 times.
Okay. I'm going to roll mine. Mine is category 3. Category 3 is Miscellaneous behind the scenes. And this one is for me. I did not just roll one for me. I swear. This is actually what happened.
Rigged.
Let me figure out what number it is so I can change it in my little thingy here. For Kyle, and this one is a pretty lengthy one. For Kyle, how do you balance, and this is one that I would like other people to jump into if you have thoughts. For Kyle, how do you balance integrating the backstory / ideas that the players have for characters with the own ideas you have for the character's arc? How much of the finished product is one versus the other? Well, you know, it's really a fusion, unless it's Tom, in which I'm mean to him and I ignore all of his ideas. So, here's how it happened. So everybody came in with a character, and they told me what they wanted to know about the character. So, for example, with Ari, Ari had just come off the back of Ari was trying to redo a character that his big critical issue was that he had too much backstory. So Ari's like, I'm going to give you nothing. I've been awake for a month and I have this one scene. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to work off that. Hallie had nothing. Emily had, I'm Ellie from Up, but I'm really Carl from Up. And also that was all I got from Emily. And then Tom had the most distinct version of his backstory. His was interesting because he had specific things he wanted. He had a specific scene in mind, actually. I think it might have been I asked for that scene later on. But Tom had a place with specific ideas of how it worked. And that's going to be where you're going to see my system kind of fall apart. So my system for developing backstories was essentially, I just let us run loose. If you notice, let's see, Lorraine comes up, I want to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, episode 7. Lorraine comes up episode 7, and then later in that arc, around episode 11, I want to say, or 12, Misha has their first moment of, oh shit, something's going on. And what really happened, so the Lorraine thing came from me wanting to play. I was just like, hey, Hallie, what if you had a rival? Because that would be fun, right? Every vigilante has to have a rival. So that's
I
literally,
agreed at that time.
that's all it started
Yes,
as.
this will be fun.
Was he has this rival he hates. Her name's Lorraine. And then Ari's thing was, I didn't know what at the time, but I knew Ari's memory related to the implication of murder. So I'm like, there is something murderous going on. But what happened after that is, up until halfway through questionable measures, I really just let the players play. I let them like experience, like I just let them live their lives. And then occasionally I would throw fun things their way. So like I threw Lorraine at Hopper. I threw Hopper's memory. I threw that at Hallie. I didn't have any like thematic things. I'm just like, wouldn't it be funny if I had a flashback about someone who wasn't Lorraine, but she was actually Lorraine? Wouldn't that be
No.
fun? And it was. Let
No,
me
it
tell you,
wasn't.
dear audience, it was.
No. One of the worst days of my life.
Or with Ellie and Zoe, I was just like, what if I just gave her a kid? I'm just going to do that. That sounds like fun. And then about halfway through questionable measures, I basically sat down and I was like, all right, what is everybody's arc? What are they going for? And some were easier to figure out than others. Hops didn't really come in until the end of questionable measures when it played out the way it did. And I realized, oh shit, he has stuff he has to get over. Ellie is... Once Emily had a response to Zoe, we knew exactly where that arc was going to go. Ari, after the roller coaster, Ari explicitly said, basically, I don't want your help if it puts you in danger. So I'm like, that's a character flaw. And then Shocks, Tom and I actually had a conversation a short while ago about that. So I would figure it out. I would start playing to things to add to that character. And then before their arc became apparent, I'd then explicitly talk. So with Emily, I was talking pretty much consistently with her after Zoe about where we wanted her character arc to go. Hallie, it was after questionable measures that I talked about that. And then Ari, I talked with her before One Neon Night. I was like, these are the themes. And then before the finale to One Neon Night, I also was like, all right, we have established these things. Let's get on the same page. This is what Misha needs to do, right? And we were both like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Tom before 6, which kind of ties with his character arc, but Shock, it's less a character arc for Shock and more Shock being a vehicle for the main plot, which is fine. I think that works fine. But we still walked down and figured out what was his, because with the way Shock was, he has so many other themes and character arcs that he's associated with that he doesn't need a strong one in the way the other 3 characters need something, because Shock is in proximity to the bigger stuff we've got going on. If that's fair to say, Tom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much it. We spent about a year just playing with characters, me throwing things their way, and then once people started responding, once we had done that fun back and forth, I was like, what does them responding, what has this led to? And so you can see that manifest in the backstory episodes, where the first backstory episode was very loose. I was like, there is a crime going on, Hallie, and you've got to figure it out. Whereas with Ellie's, it got a lot tighter, and with Misha's, it got even more tight. And Shock's memory is going to get very, very tight, because the further on we get, the less the backstory is, even though every backstory sets up the next arc, early on, there was less for them to work off of, so they could be whatever. And as we've gotten further on, there's been more for them to live up to and work off of, so they've been more structured around that. That was a lot longer. I've rehearsed this answer, and that was a lot longer than my rehearsal. What about Ness's memory compartment? I'm putting that down.
Live show.
Bonus episode, Ness's memory. But it'll probably be accidentally deep. But I just like Ness's memory. He just grifts Hamish when Hamish shows up in Key for the first time. And it ends with him meeting Shock, and he had just gotten away from grifting Hamish, who Yeah,
I
because
was gonna say
Hamish gets the
No, go
worst
ahead.
luck.
Ness's memory would be a bunch of 2-bit cons that don't work, but they might work against Hamish. He might be one of the few. I don't even know what Ness's memory counterpart would look like. That's all I have for it. But it could exist. That would be funny.
It was a long con. The memory. Yeah, when Ness was
It
like,
was a long con.
Ness says
I
that.
want
It
to-
turns out the episode's 5 minutes long. Ness doesn't think, rolls a single dice, gets caught, knocked over, and knocked unconscious.
See, I imagine in keeping with Sarah's original inspiration that Ness is just like Tony from An American Tale,
Ha!
and like his memory is just like guiding some other hapless kid around Key.
Pretending he knows what he's doing.
When he doesn't actually help that kid move along their story in any
No.
way.
No, it has big crossover
That feels
energy
very
because
right.
the kid he walks around is Shannon Iggins from The Cookie 2. He just trusts the small robot child and gets grifted.
Oh, God.
But she would let. Oh,
Anyways,
Shannon.
does anyone have any more thoughts, or Tom, is it time for you to roll your dice?
I guess it's time for me to roll my die. I got a 3.
Got a 3. All right, we are still in miscellaneous behind the scenes. Yeah, actually, let's talk about this one as well, because this one is pretty closely related to what we just talked about. So let me swap it over. All right, where are the places in the story that could have gone seriously different directions, and how would the story have changed for the long term? I am going to let all of you talk about the one Ari reminded me of, because that one still makes me mad even if it's better. The one I'm going to talk about is Lorraine. So my original thought to this question was, haha, gets on my rail conductor's outfit, toot toot, time to go on the railroads, kids. It's always been planned out, which in many ways it has. Earlier on there was more freedom, but especially now we really, because we're working off of what we set up, so I can pretty well predict where things are going to go, and the players will follow me along on it. That being said, Hop wasn't supposed to lose to Lorraine.
He was not.
Like, so
No.
the big heist, so the heist that ends with the, oh boy, Lorraine has masterminded everything and everyone's in a big pickle. That was intended. That part was intended. Hop getting stonewalled by someone in an Anine costume for 3 turns before being crushed in rubble as Misha Jarvis single-handedly solves the entire mystery. That was not intended. So the moment Lorraine basically tells Hop, you know what? I'm breaking up with you. Misha Jarvis's friendship ended with Hopperscotch. Now Misha Jarvis is my best friend. That was not intentional. I was just like, that's what Lorraine would say.
She called him Simon.
Right. I remember
And
that.
that was the shift for me, where like I obviously knew where Cubo was, but I knew that if Lorraine called him Simon, Hopper could not rise to the occasion. So I had to do that.
And so because of that, that basically set up the entire crime and courtship arc.
Yeah.
I've mentioned multiple times that Lorraine is based on an abusive relationship of my own. That wasn't intentional, but then the end of crime and courtship the end of questionable measures kind of happened, and Hallie and I talked and were like, yeah, I guess Hop's arc is about getting over a bad breakup now. Oops.
Didn't know that. Oops.
Which I think was very strong. It ties in with the overall themes of the story, but it's a time.
It was a time that happened purely by accident.
I have
Yay.
bad things have happened for, I want to say everyone except for Ari has been at least a little bit traumatized by part of their arc, which was not intentional and is the important sign of the importance of safety tools, which is we're going to be using liberally campaign 2. And I know that was the first one. I know that hit you real hard, like the arc playing through the rest of Hopper's stuff.
Oh yeah, that hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. I just like, it was really hard to separate my own failure from Hopper's failure, which is why I kept saying, but she called him Simon, so I chose to lose on purpose. But for a while, just because I was rolling so poorly all the time, I was like, man, maybe I suck. Like, I know that it's just dice, but there was also a certain level of stress of like, how can I now raise Hopper to like the victorious I'm Hopper Scotch level? Because I wasn't sure if I would be able to do it.
I had to
So
keep
there was a
telling
lot of-
Hallie, like, you will have this. This will happen.
Kyle had to be like, you'll get it. It's fine.
It's
And I was like,
fine.
okay. But yeah, that hit me hard.
Or that part of an arc
Who's
that has 30
ever
minutes of
upset
robots
me?
talking to each other. Oh, last episode. That wasn't intentional either.
That
No.
fucked us up.
Without going into
That really
detail
did.
about the most recent episode, there is an extended flashback early on that was meant to be 10 minutes long, but then I basically got really anxious after the previous episode got recorded. I called it quits, and I was like, I can't continue. And it gave me time to think and expand, and then that episode happened. But before we continue, Ari, because you were the one who reminded me of it, do you want to remind everyone of the other event?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other one is when we all fell down the pit because we weren't supposed to fall down that pit. But then that changed a lot of things because of that is, at least for Misha, because that is when Misha like lost their memories momentarily again. That's when the gears happened, which you know how that went. And that is when Misha's like connection to that has been messed up enough that they began calling Hopper Simon Scotch for the duration of the campaign. So if we hadn't fallen to the pit, none of that would have happened, and they wouldn't have had a scene with Ellie for an extended like episode. So,
Yeah, a lot of stuff changed. Everyone was just going to go down with Vera and do stuff, but then that changed, so everyone split into two. Misha got their part of the arc. Don appeared. I don't think I was intending to have him back. I wasn't intending to have Everett back. Everett was not going to appear again. But then I'm like, well, if everyone presumably died, Mauv's going to have to send in a backup team. So she sent in Everett and Jesse. So that's why Everett exists. And then I think Shauna also needed to be created for that, because you were no longer just interacting with Vera, because she would just attack you on sight if she saw you.
And I guess another things that happened there was the flashback phrase that you used later on, the like what is die happened during there, it wouldn't have happened.
Yep.
The almost leaving Misha scene in Tales from Fasten would have happened potentially, but not there, because it would have happened later on the story after the roller coaster episode. So a lot of things would have been different.
Yeah, we're in a point where everything is pretty railroaded because we have to wrap up plot threads. So it's weird to think of how many things were allowed to change early on when we didn't have a clear like anything could happen. Any other things anyone wants to talk about?
I don't think so, but I also forgot what the original question was.
Basically places where the story could have gone in a seriously different direction.
There's one that I can't reveal now because it technically hasn't even happened yet in what we recorded. But later on, we can talk about a potential choice that I had to make for Shock,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
where things could have been quite different.
Oh,
But I don't know that I can actually get into that right now. I mean,
I'm not
Could
entirely
I-
sure what you're talking about, but you can tell me later.
well, Kyle, you know what? I'm gonna quickly message you, Kyle. then.
Okay, Tom's gonna message
because I don't think I can talk about
While-
this yet,
while
'cause
Tom
it's-
messages
you
me-
did- Okay.
you.
Oh, I see. I think I know. Yeah, I think I got it.
Someone from the chat asks, "Where's Charles?" Referring to our good son.
I go.
Is he in the podcast below? Or where he goes?
I think that's a
Should
little
I
too
go
close
grab
to
him?
spoilers, Tom.
No, that's yeah, I agree. That's what I was saying. It's a shame that the timing is what it is, because that would have been really fun to talk
Yeah.
about. But
I think
to
I know
wait
what you're
for
talking about,
later.
actually. Yeah.
it's like very co-current with where we are in the show.
Yeah.
From the-
yeah. Okay. I got it. Mhm.
From the chat, is it really railroading when it's done well and there's some flexibility? First off, thank you. Second off, I choose to think of it as like roading. Like you have a road,
Well, quite real.
you have to stay on the road, but drive on it however you would like, my
I think
children.
that's a good. That's actually a really good metaphor.
Yeah.
And also from chat, yes, I do have a quarantine beard. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I need to buy a new razor anyway. And so few people see my face anymore that I can be lazy, I guess.
All right.
I
Anyways,
see your face every day. Don't you care?
No.
we are about 45 minutes in, and we are through 4 questions. So, Emily,
God.
Hallie, would you like to roll your d6?
Oh. Yeah, give me my d6. It went under my computer. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
It's a 1.
It's a
Yeah. Yay!
Doesn't mean anything in this context.
It's a d6.
Okay, I like this one. This one comes from Juniper, and this one I think is one we can do pretty quickly. From Juniper, are there any moments from Quest Friends that can be mentioned? And boom, instant laughter / tears. I'm gonna go while everyone else does their part of the answer. I'm gonna go get a shirt from my closet,
No.
Oh,
whereas
that.
everyone else can talk about other things. But I'll be back.
Well, I really like the one that I really like is the one episode where we momentarily all shared thoughts, and the first thought that Hopper heard was not my dad or Hopperscotch. I thought it was really funny.
Skip me. Come back to me later. I can't string thoughts together.
I think in the very first episode, Hopper mansplained how to do math. So now anytime anyone says ma'am, we all just start laughing. All we have to do is say ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm
We
an
all start-
accountant. I've made multiple memes off of this.
It's really unfortunate that I laugh at it.
Have we talked about the man in the gears?
Not yet.
Gears. No, we didn't talk about that one.
Why?
If you want to upset Ari, just make a meme about Misha pushing a man into the gears
I
during.
feel so bad.
It upsets her so much.
Because it upsets
What
my
was the
voice so
question
much.
again?
The question is any Quest Friends moments that can be mentioned in boom, instant laughter / tears. Also, one thing from the chat, will leftover questions be answered somewhere else? I don't know, but I'll think about it because I think it'd be fun to do. That being said, so at one part, I make a gift for everyone every year. And so every anniversary we get a gift. So I got something this year. I can't say what it is because Hallie hasn't gotten it yet. Our first year, everyone got dice bags. And the second year, I put in a quote. Because there's a scene during the thing, which Ari was the one who got it to meme status because she just loved the quote. Where Hop is talking to the Aenean, trying to like get his way, like the Aenean costume, trying to get his way up to where everyone was fighting regular Bob. And he's like, he tries to make like an argument. And I'm like, all right, give me a roll. And Hallie rolls like a 6. And so I just responded.
No. But also, like, your edit was so good because I think you stopped the music there for a second. It's like, no music. This is amazing.
I want everyone to know that he presented these shirts and I got very mad when he gave us these shirts, and he gave them to us in person. We had met up for a bit. And then I wore that shirt in the airport on my way home from that trip. And I was selected that time for the random mandatory security search. So I was like trying to go through a thing and the guy was like, no. And I got really confused and a whole bunch of things happened in my head at once. And then he went down to my shirt and he was like, your shirt says no. And I was like, ha ha. Yeah, it does. And it was the worst. I haven't worn that shirt except for during last session. And I will never wear it again during a session of Quest Friends or in public.
Everything after questionable measures has been Hallie relishing in other people's pain because she's...
Oh, it's been so wonderful. I love it so much.
Well, she also really relished. Well, no, never mind. She wasn't that gleeful about Zoe.
I just love Zoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was like a cute
Yeah.
thing to be like aha about, but this is like Ellie's consequences of her direct actions. Like those are funny. I love those.
It's not funny.
Any other moments that we quote endlessly? I know No was one. We've done it less, but it used to be a big one. Man in Gears was one.
Damn it.
Emily will
Boyo, we've
lose-
said a couple times.
Yeah. If I play any up music now, Emily gets very upset. She did this to herself.
One that I quote sometimes is because I found it really funny how nonchalant Shock says it, but it's like on the first or second episode where we discuss when Ellie puts the rat out of her hat, and not Shock is like, I could eat this right now or save it for later, and it's just like nonchalant, just saving a dead rat. Like, I can just save it for later. It's fine.
It's a shame
No
the
big
audio is
deal.
so bad in the first episode because there's some real choice moments.
Yeah.
Such a good quote.
All right, roll me a d6.
It's me. A6.
A 6. So we are now into future plans. Oh, I think this is a very interesting one. So we'll do question 25. Question number 25. Give me a second to get that all up here.
Hallie loves consequences when they don't affect her.
I was just
And
reading
just-
that. It's a call out. It's an accurate one.
And something that I should note is I may have modified the way some of these are phrased for the sake of just rolling them off my tongue and getting them in the box. While there's been quite a bit of coding for certain characters, are there any intentionally neurodivergent characters? No. That came out a lot harsher than I meant it. I just want to be honest. So no.
No.
I have heard in the past that people have talked before about there being neurodivergent coding before. Like, it's been brought up multiple times now. It's been mentioned for Shock that he seems kind of neurodivergent. But we didn't, because we had, like, anything new I do, I put in a big sensitivity. I like get at least 3 sensitivity readers, figure out exactly where we're going, stuff like that. And I didn't realize Tom had known about it, which you can talk about that. With Shock, I just was like, oh, someone likes this. I just won't tell Tom because I wasn't sure. At that point, I wasn't comfortable digging into it more. I wasn't comfortable with I wasn't comfortable with my own experience for that. I was like, because I was told that like early on in the show. And since then, almost every arc, I've thought about adding a neurodivergent character, but I've never actually done it from point of view of NPCs. So it's definitely something that I want to do explicitly. Now, I do want to note, just because I say I didn't do it intentionally, basically what that means is don't give us credit for like being super diverse for sticking that in there, because that wasn't intentional coding. But that doesn't mean you can't identify with the coding, and we'll get to this later with headcanons, but like, just because it wasn't intentional does not make it an invalid reading. All of English majors are built around readings that probably were not intended, and most of them are valid.
Can confirm.
But that being said, as for intentional, I think it is important to have intentional, explicit neurodivergent characters, and there are a handful of characters that I really want. At this point, we really don't have new characters to add that aren't robots, and adding any marginalized group as a robot character is tough. But when it comes to our mid-seasons and campaign 2, there is a list of things that I want to make sure to explicitly include, and neurodivergent characters is on that list.
Yeah. So, yeah. I was aware of it because of a Tumblr ask that had suggested the same thing that Kyle, I guess, had forgotten from, I think, a while back.
Yeah, like I knew about it, but I had forgotten I had mentioned it to you, or someone had.
Well, you didn't mention it. The ask was shared, so I had just seen it. And it was something that I was similarly just like, oh, I do not have the experiences to do anything like that. So I kind of leaned away from it later on, but I think it's a valid headcanon, and I'm glad if people think that if it was good, but it wasn't intentional.
Okay.
Farewell, Kent.
Farewell.
Farewell. All right, I'm actually going to skip on if it's all right with everyone. We've bounced around this question a few times, and I feel like this is going to be an important one to answer. So before you do your roll, Emily, we are going to pop over to the next one, which is thoughts on the validity of headcanons and fan interpretations of characters. the author is dead, screw canon, all of it goes out the window. I have a more nuanced take than that myself before everyone else gets into it. For me, I think canon doesn't matter so far as it matters in the reading of the text. Like, if you ignored certain parts of Quest Friend, if you ignored, say, all of Hop's arc and was like, well, I headcanon that Lorraine apologizes to him later on and everything is A-okay, that would, like, ruin the theming we had there about abusive relationships and the point of getting away from them. That's something that, obviously, you can do what you want, but that's something that I, as, like, someone interpreting my own fiction or someone else's, would be like, I'm not a big fan of it. That is the only context. Besides that, anything we don't explicitly say, fair game. Headcanon is whatever. You don't like our finale, you want to headcanon it to something else? Go ahead. As I said, for the importance of theming, I think it's important to look at what is explicitly in the text. But for just engaging for fun or for what you think would have been like a better manifestation of the themes and ideas, I think headcanons are extremely valuable. I have lots of headcanons that I like to believe in. And like, I once read a book that argued that the characters are only truly alive when the book ends, because then they start to live in the minds of all the people that read them. Like, they have these new, different experiences. They can become literally anything. That has always been something that's stuck with me. So I think headcanons are good and valid. I like them a lot. I think, I think the big things for me that I only hesitate back on is if you're interpreting the text, look at what's in the text, and then the other thing, there's one other thing I was thinking about. It was about the text and thematic interpretations. Headcanons are good. Oh, right. Don't give us credit for something that we didn't put in there. Like, for example, Taz. The Adventure Zone now really is racially diverse in its comics, but it is not in the text of Taz Balance. Nobody's race is described. There's no variety there. So it's great that the like fans interpreted that way and really had a very racially diverse interpretation of the cast. But that is something I will not and will never give the McElroys credit for, because that's not in their text. So they don't get credit for that, even if they embraced it. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's very good, but we don't get credit for it. You do, because you made it. I'm ranting a lot. Does anyone else have any other thoughts? I have very strong feelings on headcanons.
Yeah, I don't have a great deal to add to that.
I agree with your...
Yeah, mine are pretty much all the same. Except, like, I just think headcanons are so fun because it's interacting with the text, in your own way. And I think that's super cool, and I think everybody should be encouraged to do that.
All of my headcanons come from a place of, I think this finale ignored the themes of the story. Here's how I would have done it in a different way.
See, that's what I was going to add, is that, like, no one can ever own a story, and so if people think it is made better in some way, then that's a valid headcanon. Many people may disagree with that particular route, but it's okay if that's how you want to picture it.
Like, for example, in my headcanon, at the end of Star vs. Forces of Evil, they don't suddenly just start calling the magic realm the magic. Like your grandmother asking you, have you been playing the Nintendo again?
Are you winning, son?
I also have my...
Kyle is so mad about the ending of the show, but anytime he's reminded of it in any way, the rant begins again.
I hate the ending so much.
What were you going to say, Ari?
Oh, no, I was going to say that, I mean, I'm not super far into it, but I also have already imagined a better, in my opinion, headcanon for Amnesty for the parts that I've listened to than the way
it's true, you did give me
that they were told by Griffin. But anyways.
Yeah.
It would be so much better. But anyways.
I really like this from CK Fabe in the chat. All tacos are valid. That's referencing a character from the Adventure Zone. All tacos are valid. Feels nice until all of the fan in tacos are thin, white, and cis. The eternal tech/fandom struggle.
Yeah.
It's never mind. If you were going to say something first, you can go ahead because I never have composed thoughts ever.
No, that's fine.
Oh no, yeah, never mind.
Because like when I say no one has ownership of a story, that isn't to say that like all interpretations are equally good. Like Kyle was very explicit and like if you have an interpretation that makes the story worse, it's like why have you done this? But I mean, beyond consensus, beyond like someone's arguments, I can never say a thing coherently ever.
No, that's fair.
Oh my god.
I think we've all gotten very, very emotional about headcanons here tonight.
We have a lot of feelings about many headcanons.
So many.
I like to think that all of us also have good headcanons.
I like to believe so, except for my terrible ones. I don't know if I actually have terrible ones. I actually align with the actual like fiction of the story most of the time because I see it going away. I'm like, yeah, I like that. Okay, sure.
Like basically all of my headcanons relate to these characters were queer all along, and the writers definitely were teasing that, but fuck you. It's explicit in my mind. Every character in Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Every single one.
Except for like, I don't know, Leone, Ingrid. They're probably straight.
One last headcanon from me. Very important. My headcanon is that none of the Star Wars sequels were made, except for the one deleted scene where Finn defeats Captain Phasma, and it's so much better than anything in The Last Jedi, because it's a very good scene. In my head, that scene and nothing else of the sequel trilogy exists. It's got lots of good things. I just really like that scene, and I'm really mad it was cut. Emily, roll.
Another
5. Miscellaneous. So we talked about Emily and drawing. Okay, we do need some... Actually, this is a very fun one. So this one, it also comes from Juniper. This is one of our miscellaneous questions. This is one I know we've talked about before, but how many people have you met in real life that knew about Quest Friends? I feel like we've met at least one person.
Ari met one or two.
I feel like Ari's friends in Salt Lake City ran into people.
Well, no. So it's not. I mean, basically a co-worker's wife. I don't know. She was like, "Oh, I heard about Quest Friends in the testing, and now I'm listening to it. I'll let you know what I feel about it." And then she never told me anything after that, so I don't know. But I really don't talk with her that much.
Oh, no.
Well, didn't Peter run into someone? Like, didn't Peter message you once to be like, "Oh yeah, I ran into someone who was like, you heard about this podcast called Quest Friends?"
I think so. Yeah.
Because I remember we were like had met up. I think it was when we were in Minnesota together, and we were driving to like the bumper polo place, and you got the message from Peter that he had just met someone who knew about Quest Friends.
I think it was also like a coworker of his, but that's true. Yeah. And then, I mean, this is not like meeting a stranger, but like a friend from back home like knows about my podcast and listens to it, which is weird because I never told him about it. So that was nice. And I don't know, I don't post it on Facebook, so I don't know where he saw it. So that was nice.
From my experience, at cons, we often get told, "Oh, we've heard about you." So we're the show that people vaguely recognize when we say our name. Which is actually, I'm happy with that. That's always a good feeling to hear.
A solid place on the totem pole.
All right. I'm going to do my roll. That was a quick one. I just remembered, I knew Ari had a story, but I couldn't remember what the story was, and it was the Peter one.
I mean, I think I vaguely, yeah. But...
Well, and then when we went to C2E2, we met.
Well, we met someone who was coming to see the show, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 2. This is in our thoughts on performance. Let me Okay, I like this one. We're going to do question number 7. Question number 7 reads, when I can get it up there. Do any of you feel your roleplay has changed over the years you have done Quest Friends? If so, what are the things you think have influenced this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I guess I because I thought about it a little bit. I think for me, I at first used to do a lot of, like for instance, Misha is going to say and then say the thing, and Misha is going to do and then do the thing rather than just kind of do it or say it. And I learned by actually listening to other podcasts like, Taz or Critical Role, that sometimes I just go for it and it's a bit more fluid. So I changed my roleplay style to do that. So probably in the earliest episodes, there's more of a Misha is going to says rather than just saying it. So that's, I think, a main thing that I changed. So.
Yeah, I know I cut that out a lot early on, and I've been doing it a lot less. And we have an upcoming episode. It'll be in a few months. It's 4 episodes out, I want to say. Ari and I do an experiment where we speak in character literally the entire episode, which is, I think it worked out really well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, how about other folks?
I at the very beginning, I felt like I should only say something if I thought that it was funny or clever. Yeah, it was. You were worried.
We had a conversation where it was like, you're like, I feel like I'm trying too hard. I'm like, yes, you are absolutely trying too hard. You need to.
I think it probably went
down.
more like, I'm trying too hard.
And then me comfortingly giving you a hug and saying, yes, you are trying to.
Yeah.
I'm a fiance. I'm a great fiance. I'll let you continue.
But yeah, I got more comfortable with just talking, and like, it doesn't all have to be good or what you think of as good and then realize is bad seconds later. So,
Absolutely.
like I just did there.
Hallie and Tom, save Emily.
I feel
great.
like I became a little bit more precise about Shock's voice as time went on, because I came to realize more and more that having a strong voice was important to having a strong sense of character. And in like non-recorded games, what I did on the side where I didn't have clear and consistent voices, I never really figured out the character, and they just meant nothing.
Can I have an addendum before
Yeah.
Hallie jumps in? So yeah, I did not do this on purpose. I just realized it when I listened back to older episodes. But I eventually developed the voice for Misha because I didn't remember that at first I didn't have it. I just had the like cadence, and so then I was like, wait, I didn't have the voice until when? So I don't know, but that wasn't like an intentional thing. It just happened, and I'm glad it happened because I like Misha's voice now. So
Everybody else has these really great voices and these like, at first I tried to do this, but now I have grown into not doing that, or I do it a different way. And I'm over here like, I don't know. Like, I don't really have a voice for Hopper so much as a cadence. Part of that is because I can't make my voice sound like what I would cast as Hopper Scotch's voice, because I have a very high-pitched female voice, and so I have to rely on like cadence and the way that I deliver words to be Hop. But sometimes it does sound like me, and there have been times where I have said something as Hallie and we splice it in as a line of Hop dialogue, and it works really well. But jumping off of that is something, I know what you're thinking of, that is something I have been better at. Like, I think if your mindset, even if you don't necessarily have a voice, or even if you're feeling like you need to jump in with something funny, if you reel yourself back and just imagine yourself as that character, it becomes easier for anything you do to be indicative of that character, so that even if you do something accidentally, you can say, oh, well, I will just channel my own energy into this character that I've created.
Mhm.
And then that will give that character more depth and create something really cool you maybe didn't intend. So I have gotten a lot better at accepting the choices that I make and being like, it's done.
And then as for me, GM and player, I'll try to go brief. I know I ramble. As a GM, I did a bunch of one-shots before this, and they were all basically, here are big set pieces. It's like, you're going to be here, then you're going to be here, then you're going to be here. Here are sets of locations. And something that I've realized is very important for me is a sense of place. I need to visualize where someone is, even if I don't say it. I need to know in my brain. Otherwise, I'm just not comfortable with it. I took that approach to the first part, Turing Town. It was meant to be a one-shot. It wasn't. It got a lot longer, a lot faster. But that one I designed a map, and I designed a town. And then everyone ignored that map and that town, went to one place, and I was like, well, I guess the plot is happening now. So then I cut that pretty quickly. I've gotten a lot more, and I don't think this is necessarily better, I've got a much better sense of what would fit in an episode. But lately, that means I've tried to fit things into that episode. So I've gotten a much better idea of a flow and structure and how to keep things going, but sometimes that's a curse. As a player, it's absolutely a curse being a GM, because I have a much better sense of, ooh, here's something fun that could happen based on this. So we've been doing The Strange lately, and Tom can attest that basically every 5 minutes, like, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? And like at one point I got a bunch of ciphers, and I messaged Tom, I'm like, hey Tom, can these weapons be from the gang that Hallie's rivals with? And sometimes it works out, like, that was great. Other times, Tom's like, okay, so we have to do a heist, it's going to be in one of these 5 locations, and before he can continue and say what the locations is, me and my let's get some story hooks going brain thinks, aha, there are 5 of us. There are 5 locations. Before Tom continues, my character will pitch a 5-way simultaneous heist. I thought it was going to be great. And let me tell you, it was. From the thing.
You ever had
For
to,
us, probably not for Tom.
you ever had to improv 5 different office buildings for you to break into as a 5-way one
I
person
got really
focus
attached to
play?
mine.
I liked mine a lot.
It was great.
Well, I think it worked out for everyone. I made sure that each of them mattered. It's just only one of them actually progressed for me in the plot.
Okay, quick question. This one will be super quick. It comes from the chat from Junipow. Can Kyle, anyone do some character voices? Yeah, I'm going to do one because I've never been able to do it because I did it for an audition once. There's a character from Ace Attorney that they were doing like a dub of, and his name was like Paul Atchison Wimperson. And I thought really hard about getting this kind of sniveling voice, and I like it a lot and I want to use it, but I'm running out of characters. Unless J. Kell could have this voice, Tom, but I feel like Tom will veto that.
I think it's fine. It's not exactly how I had pictured him. Like, it's a little too sniveling and not enough, like, sneering, if that makes sense. But I'm flexible.
Anyone want to throw out any voices they've done outside of our context? You don't have to. It's just I wanted to do the Paul Atchison voice.
I could try to do my Ignatz voice if no one else has.
Oh my god, you should do your. Oh, sorry.
Do what?
Your Dankovsky voice for your kobold. I love.
My
I love that
kobold
voice you have.
Dankovsky
It's
from
so good.
the other game I'm in. Like, hold on.
It's so good.
Well, you see, if you think about it logically, we simply need to follow the map. And so I, of course, know how to draw this, but you may not, because it is a rather tricky subject.
That's so good.
I feel like it's such a generic voice though. My
I don't know, but
it's close, but you would expect it to be harsher normally than the way you do it, which makes it stick out to me.
When I was originally like practicing it, I like would hiss more on my S's, but I eventually dropped that both because I forgot to do it and because I figured it would get annoying. But I'm glad you guys like it at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that many voices other than I guess Frank Fanning, which is just rolling his R's a lot, something like this.
Can you do Lay Detective detect stuff?
Ooh,
Yes, do lay.
That
Do
fucking
lay.
voice.
Yes.
This has been a long time since I tried to do lay detect stuff. I don't know, it was something
Ari
like
just
that.
puts on accents and they're always very good.
They're always so good.
I have never been so deeply dunked on in any role-playing game as when Ari and I both played detectives on the Titanic, and she was just this cheesy French detective who was going around to literally everyone and telling them like about her theory about how crime occurs in closed
They
spaces.
happen in closed spaces.
And just like, oh, if there was a crime, don't worry about it. You won't even hear about it because I've already solved it. And he's like, there's going to be a crime, and I'm just rushing it. No,
She
The thing
didn't.
is,
She
I
didn't say.
did solve it.
Yeah, Lay did not say you won't know because you won't solve it. It's like there'll crime be happen, but don't worry. Once it has occurred, I will solve it.
Yeah, he was very adamant on it'll happen, and it's a good thing I'm here for what
And
it
I
does.
solved the mystery of where the little like stone thing.
It was a
the
stuffed
dead-
whale.
Was
and
it?
she
Oh my
actually
God, it
did
was the
solve
right
it completely.
Yeah.
She solved it 100%. Solved the mystery.
Yeah.
I think we were both dunked on, Hallie. By
No, we
by
were
Lay.
because then I spent the whole next day because I did it in 2 parts redoing the order of things I needed to happen because Ari knew things and I was like, okay, here's a new mystery for you. The laundry was taken out. Like I had to do a lot because Ari was too good at solving mysteries.
The chat is asking me to do Lorraine, and all I will say is, wait for Among Us, and you'll get as much
yeah.
Lorraine as you want. Any voices that Emily or Hallie wants to do before the next question?
The problem is that I can't do voices.
Do the Ness voice, Hallie.
Ness is all I got, man. And I have Ness only because I play Ness in Super Smash Bros. And they go PK Fire every time I actually press the PK Fire button and do my little side B. And then I just started doing this. We were like, well, the robots gotta be Ness. It's all I have. I can't do any other voices. I'm getting better. Like,
Oh,
for
I
Cookie Crew,
do
can
have
some.
one voice. And it's a voice that Tom and I do together.
Yeah, I know. Do it.
I am your fish wife. Kiss me on my fishy fish lips. This is, what's her name?
Mifa.
Mifa
Character in Breath of the
from
Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
One of the champions. She really has a big crush on Link, and is like, I will serve you, and it makes me so uncomfortable.
Kyle, kiss your fish wife.
No,
So-
I love
so yeah, we
Sidon, my fish husband.
We just bully Kyle relentlessly anytime Mifa comes
Your
up,
fish husband
ever.
is a much better pick.
Oh, absolutely. We only ship Sidon and Link in this household, not Link and Mifa.
All right. I have one question before we have Tom roll. Hey, Kyle. What's this pin you've got on your shirt? Well, I should have advertising music. Anyways, well, dear viewer, my face is not visible for some reason. Let me change it.
Your face is visible to us.
All right, well, not on stream. Anyways, well, dear viewer, this is the Hopperscotch enamel pin made by our artist, Mandy Robertson. It is a replica of Hopperscotch's new hat that appears at the end of Crime and Courtship. This enamel pin, a $5 value or something along those lines, can be yours if you subscribe to us at patreon.com/questfriends by the end of October. Essentially, each year we do like something for the Patreon backers to encourage subscriptions during our anniversary. Last year it was a Shock and Misha sticker. This year it is this little enamel pin. So I got a whole bunch of them in this box. I got like 40. So essentially, if you if you subscribe to the Patreon by the end of October, and this includes people who are currently subscribed, you'll get one of these nifty little enamel pins. And I just think they're real cute, and I like them. And so you would like them too. Okay.
Well, if you like something, that means every single person is going to like it as well.
So yeah, I got a whole bunch. Any extras we have may go on sale at a later point, but it'll be at like a con, which, considering how COVID is going, won't be for at least a year, and I don't even know when we'll go again after that. So if you're interested in having this now, probably if you're interested in having this before the campaign ends, subscribe on Patreon. Again, $1 level or above, any subscription, whoever is subscribed at the end of October, regardless of how long you're subscribed, will get it. Okay, Tom, give me a roll for the next question.
I got it too.
You got a 2. Let's take a look at our 2s. 2s, thoughts on performance. Oh, this is a fun one. And I can't be involved in it, so it can't go super long. Let me just take a moment to get this question up. I thought this would be a lot more straightforward. There we go. Okay, for the PCs. What's something your character has done that has made you really proud?
I don't know if proud, but I really like the balls of ants moment of just tossing it, like the one where when I threw it at at the blue fairy. I guess that's not the much of a but
no,
I like
that's not a big plot point. You fight the blue fairy and you throw balls of ants at.
Yeah, and I really like that idea. I don't know. I thought that was really fun, but
it was really fun. I like that you threw it at her. I really love the line beforehand where you were like, I
I
think
thought
of you as
yours
friends,
soldiers.
but also as soldiers.
And I guess there's other things that we should do later, but those episodes have not been released yet, so I can't say. But I'm proud of the one moment.
Yeah,
but,
there's some real good stuff. And again, we can talk about scenes and stuff so long as they're not too relevant to plot. I have a feeling, because the next arc is yours, Ari, that pretty much everything is real relevant to plot, but just a reminder for everyone.
Yeah, it's just like the finale. You know what I'm talking about. I'm proud of that, even though I knew it was coming.
Finale gets real bad, but then it gets real good, and Ari did an outstanding performance, and really carried those last couple of episodes.
Very strong.
Thank you.
What about everyone else? I'm not a PC. I can't speak, although I
I feel like the thing, I know this is sort of recent, so it may be within our spoiler fold, but I feel like the thing I should say is Shock and the Nanospirits recently. Shock's choice relating to that, because this is a good choice for him. But I feel like the moment I was, I don't know, most proud of myself or just like most excited for Shock was probably when he climbed back up the prodigious with unconscious
so
Ness
to
fight Vera without any magic.
This whole campaign has been us taking magic away from Tom. At first it was
All of
me,
it.
and now it's just been Tom.
Well, you pushed me to this. You drove me to this point.
All right, how about Hallie and Emily?
Emily, go.
I was really proud of the decision to use my fuse Cypher's ability with a sack of live bees.
Ellie
That was
Bees!
very good.
Bees.
Rising with her bee wings.
Which is also the same episode as the throwing the ball of ants.
That was
That was just a good
the
fight.
It's a
Jagged
very
Dream
good
fight was a
combat.
very good fight.
Hopper
Yeah.
got like a 20. It was a good day.
Yeah.
And some recent things I think went well.
You also had a good performance during.
Yeah, it was also very good. But we cannot disclose things.
How about you, Hallie?
Back before the dark ages of my dice existence, after the pit, when we split up, it was Hop and Shock, and Shock ended up like glued to the wall and crying, and Hop came in and just bonged Vera on the back of the head with a pipe, and I was super proud of him in that moment. I was like, yay, he's like doing the hero vigilante thing, he's saving the day. And then that like never happened again until of course the Jagged Dream fight, and then the 20 that I rolled with the
At the end of the Crime and Courtship.
at the end of the so that was fun. But I'm also really proud of Hop for the ant farm that he made Misha.
Yeah.
He's very proud of that ant farm. He worked very
Misha
hard on
loves
that.
Misha loves it.
I'm so glad. Like, I and Hop are both glad that Misha loves the ant farm. And when I don't know that this resulted in anything that wasn't already going to happen. But during Crime and Courtship, I had an investigation plan for Hop that involved hooking up projectors I stole from Shock, because he was the one who had them in his inventory, but I wanted them to like hook them up so you could watch one from the relative safety and comfort of a different one. And I jokingly referred to it as the Netflix and chill plan, because he was going to do it with Sarah. And I was like, look, it's investigation and it's a date. It's an invested date. And I'm proud of Hop for that one. Hop didn't do it for the date, but he did do it to spend time with Sarah. So he just didn't call it a date to himself.
He set up Netflix and chill.
He set up Netflix and chill. Good for Hopperscotch.
Oh, the time Christine is so good. Yeah, everyone does real good stuff in the
Oh,
Jagged Dream
it's
fight.
he's so I love
Everyone
that.
is-
First.
The finale is a great
Oh, so
1-2
good.
punch in Crime and Courtship, because it's everyone does super well, and then I, Kyle, do super well in the next round. All right, Helly, give me a roll. And then after this, I figure we might go a little bit long with this segment because we got so many good questions. We'll do one more round of each of us rolling after Helly.
Okay,
That's fine.
5.
5. All right, number 5. Number 5 falls down to future plans. I honestly don't. All right, I'll do this one. All right, do you want a question? Do you want me to do a silly one or one that will hurt you?
Is that
All
directed
of
for
us or hurt
All
one
of-
specific person?
It'll hurt
Because
two
if
of
it's
you.
not hurting me, then
Which
Yeah.
two? Because that will affect everyone's votes.
That's true.
Okay, I'm going to do the one that will hurt you. This one does reference spoilers. We will try not to talk about it, but it does have spoilers for the most recent episode. This one comes from Juniper, and
I know who it'll hurt.
let me just get
Oh,
the.
no. I think I know.
Let me just. So the question from Juniper is: will Lakey, and I think I spelled it wrong, and Jessar ever come back?
We don't fucking know, because if they do, it'll only be to break our hearts.
It'll only be in a bad way.
There's no good way they can come back
There's no good
unless
way.
Kyle does some shenanigans with like what happens to the people absorbed, because
I don't think the two characters of Lakey and Jessar will come back, primarily because, without going into the spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the most recent episode, they are very important for the sake of the story, for the sake of thematics, and for the sake of making Prilema real. They made it real in a way that lore could not. That being said, that really is their purpose, and bringing them back in the modern day in any serious context wouldn't make sense. They're not personal to Aegon, they're not personal to our heroes. I might do a quick cameo during one sequence if I remember, but besides that, I have no intentions for them to come back. There is one scene related to Aegon where they could appear, but because of the way it's written, they will probably not be explicitly referenced by name. So they might appear in a flashback at the very, very end. I can think of a scene in the final episode, but there's no guarantee, just because out of 100 hours of audio, they're half an hour of it. A very important half an hour, but just nothing really connected to the story. I just knew that would hurt everyone, so I brought them in. I'm not sorry. Ari, do you want to do your last roll?
Yeah. It is another 6.
Another 6. Let's take a look at our 6s
They
here.
got
See what we
That
got.
little smile on Hallie's face.
All right.
Oh, it must be great.
This one, I'm going to quickly hop over one that's super quick. The question here, will we ever get a true himbo? I hope so. That's that question answered.
We hope.
Do you know how long that fucking tweet you sent me, Kyle, lived in my head? The anime himbo one playing on repeat.
All
People
right,
can learn from their
let's-
mistakes.
You could even talk about politics on the internet.
I'm trying to think of this one. I'll do this one. I think this one is really interesting. We have 3 questions from Jim. They're all very interesting questions. 3 questions from Jim. 3 questions from Dad. That's right. I'm calling you out on stream, Dad. This is your question. And they're all real good, but this is the one I'm going to do. How do you come up with the story arcs? That's right. It's a me question. Aha. Story arcs. I had the general thing plotted out at the beginning. Quest Friends was supposed to be a 6-session game based on Tom's the Strange, where we went to a new place and did a new thing each episode. So the general structure was literally based on that. I'm like, episode 1, they're going to go to Turing Town. Episode 2, they're going to save Mr. Mako. Episode 3, they're going to have a bit of tangent while Mako does something to get the Apocrypha on his tail. They'll go to, like, I don't know, some, like, literally underground market. That's a cute idea. Episode 4, session 4, they will go to, it wasn't going to be Key, it was going to be Bodrov. It's a city that lives on top of a pillar. It's essentially the same as the Prodigious, but it's technically land connected. Episode 5, Misha's arc, and then episode 6 finale. And then just each of those turned into arcs. So that's pretty much it. From the beginning, I had it set up, and you're going to go here, and this is what's going to happen related to the Apocrypha. They were all based on getting that Apocrypha story moving, and then since then, what I've done is basically, from that point, just threw in character things. So Misha's arc, I was like, oh, well, Misha's arc number 5, we'll resolve it then. You know, it's a bit of a slow burn. It's a whole 4 sessions, but that's fine. And then 3, the underground market, I literally did not have a plan for that. So I was like, let's throw Lorraine here. That's fun. She doesn't really fit in anywhere else. So let's just be like, oh, they go off, buy some stuff, and Lorraine is there. What a fun story. What a funny story, Mark. And then I basically built the city around what is a city Lorraine would thrive in, and that's how Roulettia came to be. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Emily, I feel like nobody else really had anything else for the arcs, story arcs that they wanted to bring up. All right, Emily, give me a roll.
4.
4. Okay, 4. And for everyone, if you want to look at the chat, if there's any questions you want to go over, let me know and we will touch on it. Let's do this one because you rolled Emily. I think it'd be fun to give you this one. It's technically for all of us, but it is really an Emily question, which is, have you given any thought to what was Ellie's childhood like?
Yes. And I started thinking about it when I, on the fly, decided that, like, I didn't have really backstory for Ellie much. But as we went through her memory, I started thinking about what she was like. And it's just gremlin. She was just a gremlin. Like, I have not thought about her parents because I couldn't really figure it out. But
she was lost and raised by the Tyrannosaurus.
I feel like your default
Ellie
child
from Up when she was a kid. Hair.
yeah,
And
that's
all.
I feel like your default child personality is gremlin. What
Because my
will-
default personality is gremlin.
Let's just do more overlap. She was in, what is it, the Warehouse Nuns? What was the nunnery called, Hallie?
The nuns at Werefall?
The Nuns at Warefall from the Cuckoo
Yeah.
2.
Oh yeah, they had like an order name, but it was the I think
Schweisters.
Warefall was the
Yeah, the Schwesters.
The
The
Schwester
Schwesters.
sisters.
Thank you, the Schwesters. Yes.
Yeah, they used to be the nuns at Russell, but then Ellie drove them out into the stead.
That would happen. That feels legit.
I'm sorry for just taking over. Any other
That's
thoughts
all canon now, I guess.
on Ellie's childhood, or on? Well, I guess everyone else's childhood has been explored for better, for worse.
Well, Chalks hasn't, but will be.
It will be.
Also, there's a question from Dream Witch in chat. How much does Sarah take after Ellie?
So we talked about these arcs that ended up traumatizing us. Mine was Sarah's. So I don't know.
Let's
A
put
lot
it,
and not at all.
Let's put it this way: you look at Sarah. If you looked at Sarah, you would think, "Yeah, that's Ray's kid." If you just listened to Sarah without seeing her, you would think, "Yeah, that's Ellie's kid."
Yeah.
Sarah really idealized Ellie and took a lot of lessons to heart. She was already down that road, but there's a reason she is who she is, and that reason is Ellie Badge. Anastasia,
Okay, like-
ironically, did not take after her mother. She took after Ray, I guess.
She has a bond with her Aunt Ray. She did not take after her mom,
Her mom's
who I
just a
named
wine
can't
mom.
remember.
Her mom will never come up,
Her mom's just a wine mom.
but she's
Yeah.
a wine mom, and I love that. Okay.
She's off exploring the world.
I've got mine. I'm going to do 2 questions super quick. They're both very tongue-in-cheek, but I find them very important questions to ask. First one. I don't see Quest Friends nominated in any of the categories in the Audioverse Awards yet. Why don't you talk about the awards and try to move us to action?
Get that advertisement music playing again.
Do it.
Audioverse Awards. They are audio awards, specifically for audio fiction. They have 2 categories. They have written and they have improvised. And they are... Yeah, they're just an award ceremony. A big way of, like, basically people nominate and then people vote. Nominees will go out and... It's just a big deal to get nominated. It's the kind of thing where if you get nominated, you get to say, even though in the end, most of it is, I don't want to say a popularity contest, but the bigger shows with more people to vote on them because they have a bigger influence are going to get more votes. But that being said, being nominated is a big deal. It gets you in the view of people who pay attention to and listen to and really care about podcasts. Not only listeners, but also other things too. No, this was not submitted by one of the cast. This was submitted by Dark Helmet. Because the thing is, you only need 3 nominations to get in, and we could nominate ourselves. That is allowed in. But I want our show to end up there if our show deserves to be there. You only need 3 nominations per category, so if you think our show deserves to be even considered for these things, or you just want people to know about it, you want people who know about... You want people to know about Quest Friends, people who care about podcasts, who care about quality podcasts, who are going to watch that feed. This is an easy way of doing that. I'm going to try to find... I'm going to find the Tumblr link that has your For the Consideration posts. If you want to nominate, you can nominate us as a show. You can nominate Mandy's phenomenal artwork. You can nominate... you can nominate us as individuals as well. So if you're interested, if you want other people to know about the show, I would highly encourage you. This is a way to get it to a lot of people who you might not talk to otherwise. So we have our notes there. Just include the
Dream Witch
exclamation
has
point
us
in Quest
covered.
Friends. Again, you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. But I figure hearing it from me and hearing our reasons why we put a for-your consideration in the first place and why I myself am not just having the 5 of us nominate us, because then we'd end up in, because you just need 3, why we did that. And again, yeah, just do Hallie as Hop because you can't do as two people. I learned that. And an exclamation point in Quest Friends. And email us or contact us if you have any questions on any of the fields. But again, that was submitted by Dark Helmet. That was not submitted by me. I just saw an opportunity to shill and I took it. The next question is similarly it's not a question, but it's a very important question. Even if it's not a classical one. This question comes from Juniper, and it is for Hallie. Dungeon your dragons.
That's not a question.
See, before when we were asked like what are things that cause immediate laughter related to Quest Friends, I wanted to answer right away, but then I was like, but wait, all the things I can think of aren't actually really Quest Friends. They're just memes that we can bully Hallie and or Emily with. Like Spinch.
Thank you, detective. I didn't. Or Salad Raptor.
Well, Salad
Which is
Raptor, I
amazing,
was going to
but-
say, but then I was like, but that hasn't come out yet. That's not going to come out for a long
That's
time.
from Salad Raptor, something nobody understands.
We could explain the context, but all you need to know is that there are certain words that when they come up will just trigger a laughter response. Again, in Hallie, there are 3. Dungeon your dragons. Any version of Dungeons and Dragons that doesn't have the and, even Dungeons and Dragons, honestly.
Just
There's
conditioned her.
something from a Let's Play, which is Detective, why did you kill... no, Mr. Edgeworth, why did you kill that man?
What did you? Thank you, detective.
Thank you, detective. I didn't.
Well, glad we got that figured out.
And then Salad Raptor. For Emily, it's any of the misspelled names.
We don't need to go into that.
got
There's
Spinch,
no.
Oat meat, strawberries, brogle, broggly. It just sets them off.
Leave how many times we're going through a recording setup to be like, okay, we got the right mic, everything's set up. Are you recording? Blah blah blah. And then somebody be like, "Dungeon your dragons," or Ari will be like, "Thank you,
It's usually
detective.
me.
I did." Setting up a mic.
Oh yeah, Ari
And then-
loves.
I'm just,
It's usually me.
I'm ruined. Like,
There's a half hour gone. We just can't even
There's-
record.
That's why
There's
I don't
one-
let us off
30 minutes.
anymore.
There's one session that was fully. It was gone.
there was
The whole
there was
session.
no hope for salvaging
We
it.
were just completely checked out from the start.
I think that was like the first, like we were just like a month into the quarantine or something, and so we were extremely loopy.
Yeah.
All right. B, due to the time zones, can't come, but she says hi. Hi, B.
Hi, B.
Welcome to this
when you
part of
watch
the
this
stream,
VOD,
where you-
yeah, hello.
Welcome to the VOD, where you learn about, as Jellyfish says in the chat, Dungeoning's dragons,
Dungeons and Dragons.
or
That
the
was not
Dungeons
even
of
like-
Dragons, Dungeons in Dragons.
We're so
Really
far
doesn't-
removed. Like,
I am
But-
Manfred
Dragons in
Dungeons von
Dungeons.
Dragons.
that's actually a really fun name. I might steal that.
You
But-
can't, you
but-
can't use it.
But dragons.
Von
But, like,
Dragons?
I want to point out that
Of
the
the
actual
Salad
video
Raptor
this came
team.
from isn't even that good. Like Vines But Really Dungeon My Dragons is a fun title that set Hallie off for the rest of her life. But the video itself is very boring,
So,
actually.
It's only the title. Mine's that Dungeon My Dragons.
Hallie, don't read the chat, because I'm going to read it for
it's
you.
too late.
Dungeoning
I have
Dragons,
it pulled
Dungeons
up, like,
of Dragons, Dungeons Explode
Dungeon
Dragons,
of
Dungeons
Dragoon.
with Dragons,
There's like so many
Dungeoneer the Dragoneer, Dungeon of Dragoon, Dragon Your Dungeons.
Dungeon, Dungeoneer the Dragoneer. That sounds dope. I would watch that.
What I love is that we say this, and then Hallie just keeps like repeating and saying variations of it while laughing, like Dungeons, Dragons.
Wizard of the
It's
Coast.
very
Wizards of the Coast
good.
was a mistake. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Dungeons of the Dragons. I think you mean to
We
say.
also love how Hallie just disappears out of her screen.
Dungeon, the
whenever
last
she
dragon.
dies. Like this, it's just like a really tiny head that's just like in the middle of the thing.
I've
It's
really
very
been trying to get
funny.
Hallie to play Horizon Zero Dawn. Maybe I should call it Dungeon Zero Dragon.
There are, in fact, 0 dragons. in that game.
It's
Dungeons hate
so
dragons.
nice when we're on video or audio with Hallie, because then you bully her instead of me.
I mean, we bullied
I can
you
talk about
too.
more oat meat if you want, Emily. I can talk about oat meat for days. Talk about that spinach.
Banch.
Talk about that broggle. Oh wait, right, Banch. Anyways,
Ranbro Sprankles.
Dungeons versus Dragons. Dungeons jump dragons.
Let's dynamite dragons.
Yeah, and Hallie will just disappear off camera, and you'll just hear her. All
It's
right,
very good.
before
Do that
Hallie dies,
sometimes.
because I know the chat is going to keep going for like the next 5 minutes. Tom, why don't
Next
you
forever.
roll our penultimate rolled question? Then we've got some non-rolled ones.
6.
6, 6, 6, 6, 6.
I got
Six.
6.
You got 6.
You need
My face
60.
hurts.
Oh, okay. So here are some future. I'm gonna do another super quick one. Will Cubo ever be allowed to swear? I don't know. I've given this question a lot of thought,
Here's
and I don't know.
Here's a question you need to ask yourself. Cubo is already allowed to swear, but does he want to?
I assume that if you ask Cubo to look for swear words or information about swear words, I feel like he would do it in a very nonchalant, like, oh yeah, these are some of the swear words that people commonly use, but without like actually
He did exist
swearing.
in Noledia. That's a good point.
Don John, your Dracons.
Like it's
All right, anyways, I'm gonna do one of the late questions.
There we go again.
Yeah, let's do this one. Let's do I think this is a fun one. Hallie, this question is for you.
no.
What's the story behind Hallie's unique Twitter handle?
Oh, so my Twitter handle is Khaleesi. It's K and then Hallie and then C. And that's because of the word Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, except that I just put my name in the middle to make it a pun name. So it's Khaleesi. I considered changing it after the final season of Game of Thrones, but then I didn't because the pun is too good. And like I share a birthday with Emilia Clarke, and otherwise the stars just fall into place. So it's like Khaleesi, and it's fun.
I'm just waiting for like there's been a lot of okay grandma memes I've seen around where it's like someone in the nursing home referencing a millennial specific meme. Yeah, everyone could see that request. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Everyone could see it like on the
No,
stream.
not on stream.
No,
I
on
mean,
the
if they
not
piece
on
Zoom,
together
Zoom.
things,
it's fine.
maybe. Anyways, we're gonna keep going while Emily steps away from her screen for a second. But it's like referencing a millennial thing, and it's like, oh no, like grandma, like, you know, like sure enough, grandma, like, you know, oh, I got the chicken dinner, and I was the winner winning chicken dinner. I'm just waiting for Hallie as like an 80-year-old. My name, I'm the Khaleesi.
I'm Khaleesi, mother of Dungeons and Dragons.
You've done it to
Sometimes
yourself.
that happens too. Hallie sometimes brings
does it
the
to
joke to herself
And she laughs
and
hard.
just slays herself without any input.
Prison your
No, she
limits.
doesn't.
I had Fearless Dragons as part of her title, and then I set myself off again.
Hallie laughs
There
even
she
harder when
goes.
it's herself. She laughs so hard at her own jokes.
Yeah, that's why Silent Rapper
Always been
to
this
her
way.
as much as it's her own joke.
Sometimes I can't breathe anymore.
We've
I know that I made it in the world when Hallie's goes all quiet.
I think dragons have maybe been ruined as a concept for Hallie.
Oh, nobody can ever see dragons again. It'll just make me laugh. Khaleesi.
We couldn't even. I don't think we could ever even do a dungeon crawl ever again after this point.
Please don't make me.
Well, it might be in your future.
Dungeon in the shape of a dragon.
What?
Dungeon
No,
with
it
a
can't
dragon.
be. I can't do
Hey,
it.
remember when Tom was going to
There might be both a dungeon and a dragon in your
No!
future. In
Yeah,
this
Dungeon
stream.
with the dragon.
Remember that time we were going to do the Puff the Magic Dragon dungeon?
Well, that wasn't a dungeon, mind you. That was just a dragon.
I can't do it. It's like I I literally can't.
I know what I have to do. I just don't know if I'm strong enough
From
to
the
do
Greater
it.
Vespari, the dragons have been thoroughly dungeoned.
This is the perfect filler.
Sad
Never
cowboy man, I have dungeoned all of the dragons in this vicinity. Would you like me to check the next location?
Yeah, I guess.
I think you could argue that that's what Hop did down in the hold of the Prodigious.
Oh no, he dungeoned a dragon. He did because we trapped it by using cars.
Someone clip that. You know what? I will. I'll be the change I want to see in the world.
Thank you, Tom. See, I keep pushing for questions normally, but this is just too good. Like, just let it go. Anyways, Hallie, before we get into like the final set of questions, you're the last person who needs to dungeon a dragon. So could you please do that?
You saw me drink water. Why did you do that?
Why would you drink water? I saw you drink water.
Because
I'm
I'm
why?
dehydrated because I'm laughing too hard. I got a 4.
You got a 4? All
I
right.
got a 4.
So our last question before we get to the final one is going to be from, let me take a look here super quick to make sure I got the right one. Yeah, I think this is going to be the last one. The last one before we get to the final one. So we got some final questions about the future of the show. So let's talk about this one. If you could go and replay some of the first sessions, how would you play your character differently?
I was hoping you asked this one. I didn't know where it was, but I read it and I was like, oh. Well, I would, for one, use the actual voice because it hurts when you put clips of the past things on these new episodes and it's like, ooh, I did not have a Misha voice. So I would play different in that way. But also I think I had a different idea that I ended up dropping for where I wanted the backstory to go, and I like how it ended up now. So I would have played a little bit differently with that in mind and be a little bit less angsty. I don't know. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. So that's my.
How about everybody else?
I feel like it's really hard for me because Shock also changed pretty drastically over the course of the game. But I'm not sure. I don't know that I can really like go back and redo that because so much of what Shock is now built upon how I played him originally, and he just changed gradually over time that like it wouldn't match up right. Some of the ways he acts now and things he says wouldn't necessarily feel right in that earlier Shock. I'm very distracted by Charlie in his little pajamas. But like my voice for him would definitely be a little bit different because of how I tend to play him now, but I think it would be very difficult to play early Shock again, which I guess I'll have to do for the memory episode. I've played myself.
Yeah, there have been
This
times
is why
where
you just make a completely different thing.
That is actually the way to do it.
Yeah, just make them baby.
I'll hop the mine. Mine would be to face my camera, face my microphone the right way. That's what I would do. But I'm not even joking. I've considered going back a few times and re-editing the first episode because it's not a great look for, like, we've got a lot of fun. It's not a great look for a new show. It starts the same way as every other show. It's got bad audio. It's got barely any editing. It's just not the best introduction to the show. But there's a spark and there's an energy there that we couldn't recreate. So it's very difficult for me to edit, and it's also not really possible for that to get replayed. Even if we had the right character voices, we could not get that energy again. Which Tom's answer just made me think about that one. Hallie's dying thanks to the chat. So Emily, how about you? How would you have played your character different while while Hallie tries to compose herself?
I would have been less nervous. That was my biggest downfall, was just I'm watching Hallie.
Nobody look at me.
Yeah, I would have been less nervous because I think things would have gone more smoothly, and I could have actually been more comfortable playing Ellie earlier on, whereas I didn't get comfortable with her for a long time.
Mr. Scotch. Besides not mansplaining,
First one. My first one was I wouldn't mansplain soup, because the thing about that time is that I, as Hallie, got so excited to be able to say I'm an accountant that like my accountant backstory, the only part of my backstory was relevant, that I just overloaded the mansplain, and it was my fault.
I can explain how money works.
It's like
I also love like the ma'am right before it. Ma'am, I have an account.
so polite. I agree with what everybody else has been saying, and that I don't know that I would play him in spirit necessarily differently, but I think every single session there's a line that I say that I'm like, why did I phrase it like that? What if I did it this way? It would have been so much cleaner, so much more impactful, so much more like hop. Like there were, especially during Crime and Courtship, there were a lot of like moments where an hour after we finished recording, I was like, why didn't I say this? Missed opportunity, which like we all have from time to time. So I think there are a lot of specific lines I would re-record as Hopperscotch. I don't have a list in my brain right now, but I'm sure I could think of some if I just spend a lot of time stewing in anxiety about it.
Please don't.
Okay.
Just replace every line you would have done with Dungeons or Dragons.
Unchecked cruelty.
It's a genuine
So
idea.
unnecessary.
It's like how people bite a lemon to shock them out of anxiety. Just do that with Dungeons and Dragons. Anyways.
Ask a new question.
So, we've gone through the list. We've got about 15 questions left. I'm going to go throw Hallie under the bus here because she runs our Tumblr. And I'm just going to say that, yeah, we'll answer the rest of them. This is a celebration.
Yeah,
this is our 3-year anniversary, which actually happened to fall in the day. So for the next month, about every other day on our Tumblr, we'll release an answer to one of these questions. Basically, just from now through the end of October, spending that month dropping down answers to the questions. So, yeah.
Yeah, as the Tumblr person, I'm going to say if you have an ask currently in the Tumblr, if we ever don't get to your ask within like a week or so, it's because there's like an episode coming out that's relevant to the ask or something of that nature. And that's why sometimes it takes a while. I don't want I have a very love-hate relationship with Tumblr that's mostly hate. Tumblr has burned me in the past, where I will try to answer something and it won't save. So sometimes it takes a little bit to schedule all those asks, but we do read them. We love getting asks, so keep sending them in. And if they take a while, it's either because I'm being bad at my job or because we have a specific time that we have planned to release that one.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to say about the Tumblr.
And if at any point during your during the stream you thought of questions that you want to ask, throw them in that ask thing. I don't know if it'll be part of the ones we get done in the month, but that's where all future questions go. Anything from really deep questions about, how we would replay something differently to will we have a himbo, which again, the answer is I hope so. Absolutely anything and everything. Throw it in that chat. What about those who aren't on anything like Tumblr, Facebook, Twitter, etc.? Tumblr, I think you can ask that annonously. I don't know if you need an account.
You can.
For it.
You can ask anonymously on Tumblr.
Yeah,
So you can ask anonymously on Tumblr. You can also reach out to me. No, you can reach out using our contact us page if you ever want to reach out or ask us anything. You can put that there. And if you're on Tumblr, again, do it as a Tumblr question. But if you ever want to reach out, we have a contact us page. We love to hear from folks. Sometimes I struggle to get back like immediately, but we'll do it.
Dang in your rompas. There are
That
so
was
many
really
good
Ellie, you
ones
need
in
to
chat.
stop reading the chat.
I feel like you just came up with that one.
And
No, it's chat
the
is
chat is on fire.
exploding with
Oh.
so many good ones.
Oobly at your wyverns.
Yeah, Prison Your Lizards, I think, was my favorite overall. But Dangan Your Rump is just
Danganronpa,
Your
that's
basilisks is up there.
just so thematic to.
considering what's coming next.
So
Yeah.
anyways, it's been 3 years. Thank you so much for your support in these 3 years. We have seen the show really rise from 50 listens in an entire month to 500 per episode and about 3,000 a month. So it's been substantial growth. I really appreciate having everyone here. This is the most active we've ever had a chat in one of these yearly things, and I have not been able to keep up with it, which is a strange feeling for me, and it's really exciting. I have one last set of questions I want to do before we switch to Among Us, and that's talking about the future, because this time next year we'll be done with campaign number 1. So, the questions, we had a few like these, but are there any campaign 2 or 1.5, the in-between seasons campaign details that can be shared? Yes. So, October, we're going to record the final episode of One Neon Night. There's a debrief episode every arc. We have one. The next month, because only Tom and I have to schedule an episode, so everyone is more free, we were going to, for Emily and my wedding, get to a nice diner and do this. Now, we might make food. I don't know what we're going to do. But we're going to have a Zoom chat where we sit down and we talk about a few things. One, we're going to solidify for sure that we want to do a second campaign. Everyone here, I think, is on board with it. They've been pretty vocal about it, but that'll be the final yes. They're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what we want to do. We've had a bunch of ideas. I have big thematic things I want to explore. I know who the main villains are. I know what the main arc is going to be. The main idea is going to be. If this campaign is all about the importance of moving on and letting things, people, ideas, relationships die, the next one is going to be, well, what does it mean to live? Where does that line, and specifically, where does that line between player and character, where's the division point there? Exploring that kind of fun stuff. So I know that, but I don't know what genre it is. I don't know what system it is. I don't know anything else. I don't even know the structure. I want to do more episodic, but we might not. That's going to be our November conversation. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about this season. What did everybody like? I'm going to present some ideas I had, see what people are into. And then after that, we're going to run some internal games to test out whatever system we choose and whatever one we roll with. We'll likely choose a system that, unlike Numenera, has less of an established world and established rules for me to ignore. Because I want to actually have the show be a representation of the system. And our game isn't. We're off-brand Numenera. We're off-brand Cypher system, and I really want to have a game where we are the system representative of the system we're doing. In between that, we've got a whole bunch of we'll probably have a 6-month break. I've got a few ideas for the mid-season, which I've said to everyone, but until we have that November conversation, I don't want to say anything for sure. All I will say is that in the past, we said it's going to be a mini-series run by Tom in a pirate setting. That probably won't be the case. I think we found something that's even more exciting.
Yeah, I feel bad not doing that, but we will have better things in place of it.
So we'll have a good break. The show is likely, campaign 1 will likely end around July if I keep my schedule, which I never keep my schedule, but I'm going to say it's going to end in July or June or something like that. And then it'll be about a 6-month break as we gear up and I really get going on campaign 2, and then we will have another campaign, and it'll be different. But I think it'll be just as big as this one. It won't be like Taz Balance and Taz Amnesty where the tone just shifts. It'll be a different setting. There might be a bunch of different changes to the format, but we know who we are. We know the kinds of stories we like to tell, and we're going to tell the same kind of story the same way we did. It won't be the same. That's a bad phrasing. It won't be the same story. It will be very different from campaign 1. But it'll still be something that only Quest friends could make. any other final thoughts before we take our break and we come back to Murders in Space? All right. Thanks so much for joining us for this. I'm going to set on a timer for about 15 minutes. When we come back, we are going to be playing Among Us. If you've been online at all, you know what it is. But I'll explain it when we get there. All you need to know is that we are going to be in space. We are going to be trying to fix a spaceship, but some of us, including some guests from some other podcasts, may secretly be murderers. You will be playing from my point of view with me, chat. You will be helping me solve or commit crimes, but also every game I will play as a different Quest Friends character that the other players will not know about until we first meet. And you're going to help me figure out who it is each time.
Right.
So you want Lorraine voice, you want Vespari, you want to bring back like Shauna, you want Cubo to murder people? We can make it happen.
Could this be the only time where Cubo swears?
Oh my god.
You asked for it.
We answering this tonight.
Here it is.
I might. This would be a context I'd let Cubo swear. So yeah. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for that. This will be up probably on Monday. See more questions on our Tumblr. And we will talk to all of you on Monday. I got to do this. I got to do the thing. On Monday, October 5th. We'll see you then. Now I got to put on the timer. We still haven't finished.
I am going